So I love my IUD. I love it. I was in Target yesterday in the family planning aisle, which I don't know if that's what they actually call it, but it's the one where you can get the whole range, for any scenario. You can go in and get the pads and the tampons. You can go get your KY jelly and your condoms. And then you can go get your pregnancy tests. And I haven't had to go down that aisle for quite a while because I have this amazing IUD, and I've had it since my son was 6 weeks old, and he's now 9.5. And so that's been 9.5 glorious, bleeding-free years. Now, don't get me wrong, because there was a time in my life where I really loved getting my period. I felt like it was really... It helped me really connect and understand my body and just feel really self-aware. I have other ways to feel self-aware these days that don't involve bleeding from my uterus. So anyway, here I am in this aisle. I'm looking for pads for an undisclosed reason. And 2 other women walked down the aisle. The first one had a friend with her, so I guess 3 women. But the first one, she just had this look of total overwhelmingness on her face. And she asked her friend, now what kind was it that she uses? And her friend was like, I don't know. And the woman kind of looked at me. And I looked at her, and we just made this eye contact where we were like, this is crazy, right? Totally overwhelming. And then shortly after that, this other woman walks down the aisle, and I hear her chuckle behind me. And so I turn around, and she's looking at the Diva cup, and she's putting it back on the shelf. And I was like, I know, it's crazy overwhelming, right? And she was like, this Diva cup, I don't understand. It would be so messy. Wouldn't it be so messy? How do you change it? And that conversation morphed into a conversation about period panties, the absorbent kind, so that you can wear those Diva cups or whatever kind of protection you like to use without any leakage. So anyway, so here I was standing in this aisle telling this woman that I haven't had a period in 9 years. This woman I've never met before. And she was like, lucky, and we had a very woman moment. And this is after an evening with my doula friends last night, where we were talking about the great equalizer of giving birth, and how giving birth is the one thing that all humans do the same way. No matter where you are, no matter what country, no matter how much money you have, babies will come out of your vagina. And if they don't come out of your vagina, you'll have a cesarean section, which is a perfectly normal, acceptable way to give birth. It's safe. It's practiced all over the world, and it's been practiced forever since women were giving birth, since women started having babies. So in that sense, I feel like having periods is also this universal, we can all relate. We all have periods at some point in our life. And we all have to consider at some point in our life, can you guys hear that saw? They're building a house next door, and there are all these guys out there sawing wood. I woke up to hammers this morning, putting the framing together. Anyway, so we all have our periods, and we all have to consider at some point in our life, do we want to have babies? And could you imagine? So say you start having your period at like 12, 13, maybe as late as 15, maybe as early as 9. Can you imagine if we started having babies from the time we got our first period through the time we went through menopause and we're done? Right? Can you imagine? First of all, the havoc that it would wreak on women's bodies, the overpopulation, the financial strain of, in a family as well as for society, and how lucky we are to have birth control. oh my God, how lucky we are to have birth control. Because, oh my gosh, because there would be so many babies that were unplanned and not necessarily cared for, wanted in a way that we hope our babies are. I work with women, and I've worked with lots of women who have, not lots, but I've worked with women who have decided to give up their babies. I've also worked with women and known lots of women in my lifetime who have had abortions that have kids. They have kids. It hasn't stopped them from having kids. They just weren't ready for that kid at that time. So this whole idea of banning abortions, it just doesn't make any sense. And keeping birth control away from women, it just doesn't make any sense. Because it's our bodies. It's our bodies. It's not your body. Our bodies, our choice. My time's going to run out here soon. So that's that. Women's bodies are amazing. They're amazing. And if you've ever seen a woman give birth, the power is just awe-inspiring. I think we should all witness it. I think we should bring it back as a community. It might give us more sense of humanity. Thanks for listening.